Hey guys, real quick video. This time I promise it'll be quick because it's just over one fight. Um, this was the Nax raid that I did over the weekend with my guild on Saturday. I normally raid on Thursdays, but I wasn't able to attend Thursday, so I worked out a deal to go on Saturday instead. And there's a lot of players that are different. There's a lot of players that play alts between both raids. So I wanted to make this video because this is something you're going to run into more than likely as an off tank, main tank, whatever the case may be. In the Thursday run, I normally don't main tank Maxna. I have main tanked her quite a bit in the past, and our guild, our warriors, and our DPS and our tanks are geared to the point now where we try to one phase her every week. And with Maxna, we use the term one phase. There's really not any phases. She has cooldowns, or she has abilities that are on cooldowns. Web wrap is one of them, and I think it's called web spray. I call it web wrap. So she puts people on the wall. She summons spiderlings, and then she does have an enrage, but that's based on her hit points. But she does a web spray or a web wrap where every single person in the raid, including the tank, gets cocooned for 10 I believe it's 10 seconds. It's either 10 or 15. And nobody can heal. No, if you're a tank, you can't block or dodge or anything. And you have to survive. And the way that you do that as a main tank is right before the spray goes out, you put on a shield and you cast shield wall. You can cast, and the healers that have hots like Rejuve, Regrowth, Renew, whatever, they will put all those hots on you, put a pre-shield on you, power word shield, and you'll just try to survive as long as you can without any heals. Popping shield wall basically guarantees that you will live, because shield wall reduces damage you take by 75% for 10 seconds. And even if you pop it a few seconds early, it's very unlikely that she's going to kill you in 2 swings if you're at full health when you enter web spray or web wrap. I forget which one it's called. I think it's web spray. But what happens is that there needs to be an off tank, or what we call a chase tank. And in this raid, this clip I'm about to show you, that was me. That was my job. And I didn't do that job very well. And I'll explain why, and I'll show why. That's kind of the reason I'm making this video. So the off tank's job is, if the main tank gets wrapped and doesn't hit shield wall in time, 90% of the time, I'll say, or 80% of the time, that tank's gonna die, because she hits pretty hard. And if you DPS her down to the point where she enrages, you're guaranteed to die. So if you're trying to one phase her, meaning kill her before the web spray goes out, and you don't, and she has 10% hit points or 5% hit points left, and she enrages, and then sprays the raid, you're gonna die as the main tank. It doesn't matter how many hots you have on you. Even with shield wall, it's probably gonna be close. So there needs to be an off tank that's chasing. Because as soon as the main tank dies, who do you think she's going for next? All the DPS warriors that are at the top of the threat list. So the off tank's job is to chase, and then ideally, if there's going to be a web spray, that off tank will also shield wall. Again, just to make sure that they don't die. Then when you come out of web spray, then you take over threat, so that people don't lose world buffs. In this clip I'm going to show, and I named this video Off Tanking and Complacency, because what happens is we've done this for weeks, and admittedly this is a different team, but as far as I'm aware, this team has also been one phasing Maxna as well. But you get used to, like, oh, we're going to one phaser, I'm staying second on threat, but then you're really not paying attention to that. You're paying attention to other things going on, when you should be just focusing on your job. And don't try to pick up everybody else's football that's laying on the ground. Like, worry about your own football. If somebody fumbles a ball, that's the analogy I'm trying to make. If somebody fumbles a ball, it's not your job to run over and pick it up all the time. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to the football that's in your hands, because you might drop that too. And that's what happened to me. So I'm going to start the video and I'll pause it as I go. So we're getting in position. I'm carrying over some rage. You want to carry over as much rage as possible. We're going to pull her in about 15 seconds. So I'm wearing 4-piece tier 3. Doesn't really matter for the purposes of this video, but... So the tank's heading in. I'm a little behind. I should have been a little closer to his backside. But you'll see me blow Death Wish to try to... So here's the threat meter. I'm near the bottom. I'm right here. So I've got a ways to go. So I blew Death Wish. I blew my trinket. I start catching up, and then I get into second. So here's the web spray timer right here, 20 seconds. I'm not looking at this at all. I should be, but I'm not. Now I'm second on threat. Okay, now spiderlings are about to, so it says Maxina spiderling spawned. Normally what happens is, and this timer might have gone out early. I don't really know, because the spiders, as you can see, are not here. What happens is the melee will all blow sappers and kill every single spiderling. That happens every single week. And every one of these guys has wreck up, and every one of these guys has, this is Death Wish, this is wreck for my screen. We have 9 seconds till web spray, and the spiderlings aren't out yet. And I'm not paying attention to web spray. For some reason in my mind, I'm thinking I'm second on threat, I'm good. And even though I don't have wreck up, because I'm supposed to be blowing shield wall. But I get distracted because the spiderlings took longer to spawn than normal. And then everybody blows their sapper and not all of them die. And they run past us to the healers, and I leave the boss and turn around and try to taunt and kill the spiderlings. And I get sprayed so I lose my threat position for one. But I turn to kill these spiderlings, not realizing that those spiderlings do almost no damage. I went back and looked at the logs, and the spiderlings were doing like 70 damage to the healers. So they're not going to kill the healers. What my thought was is I don't want these healers to be interrupted. Again, I wasn't looking at the timer. I should have been. I saw this happening. I glanced at her health, and then I glanced at the threat meter. I didn't look up here, and I knew that, I'm second, and I still have a few seconds on Death Wish. I thought that I had the time to turn around. I thought that I had about 15 seconds left, and I didn't. I had less than 10. So you'll see the spiderling spawn, and you'll see that a lot of warriors blow their sapper, probably because DBM announced it, and it didn't show up. They didn't show up in game. So all those sappers, look at all those sappers going out. Now the spiderling spawned. All those sappers went out and did 0 damage to the spiderlings. Now Maxina's down to 24%. We have less than 5 seconds. It might be hard to see this. It says 4.8. I'm still second on threat. I'm going to blow my sapper here in just a second. I haven't used it yet. There's my sapper. Okay, there, I just used it. Now I see spiders out of the corner of my eye running past me because they didn't get killed. And Sunder Armor's about to drop, which I should be refreshing that. So I made a few mistakes here. But the most egregious one is I left the boss. I fumbled my football. So here, there's 4, it looks like 4.1 maybe. She's sub 20%. She is enraged. Right now she's enraged. She's about to web spray. The tank's at 100%, but enraged, she hits very hard. I should not have left, but I was being complacent and thought we were going to kill her. So I one-shot that one with a Bloodthirst. I taunt this one, and then when I taunt it, I backpedal and I go to turn back to her, and there's 2.5 seconds left. It's too late. So I Heroic Strike, I taunt. Web Spray has 0.2 seconds. Now I'm not targeting Maxina, but I know I've already lost threat. Oh shit. And then I said, oh shit. So let me back that up a little bit. Because I just realized what I did in 1 second. Oh shit. Okay, and then I targeted Maxina because I wanted to see the threat meter. And look, I've dropped down 4 positions. So there's Gizmo, Aldradora, Boop to the max, and then me. And XZ is or the main tank is about to die. She's enraged. We just got web sprayed. There's no way he's surviving. Now she turns, starts killing melee. One. Two. I think she killed. I don't think she killed Fury Blades. 3. And then they killed her. So, and there's still a Spiderling up, which is, again, not a bit. Now let's go back. Because I think that Spiderling was meleeing me the entire time I was web wrapped. And I've played on and I'm a tank. But it's meleeing me for sub 70 damage. Even if this was on a priest, which I think it was a paladin that I pulled that off of, that Spiderling is not gonna kill. It's probably going to be interrupting heals, but we're so close to the web spray anyway. It doesn't matter. The Spiderlings are not. The healers have ways to get to negate this. If you're a priest, you can power word shield yourself. If you have to, you can fade. Pallies can bubble. I don't think you can bubble out of the web spray, but there's no reason that I should have turned and grabbed these Spiderlings. I should have stayed on the boss, popped shield wall, and if that would have happened, and I would have popped shield wall, I probably, even though the main tank died pretty early in the web spray, I probably would have survived. She does hit hard, and I haven't gone back and do the math, but she does hit hard during enrage, but I would have had a shield on, and I would have had shield wall up. So that's, all that armor plus 75% less damage from shield wall. I at least, if I could have made it to the end of web spray, I could have, used last stand at the end. When I came out of web spray, I could have used last stand plus hellstone or whatever. But 3 to 4 warriors lost their world buffs because I got distracted, didn't stay in my lane where I should have been, and tried to pick up, someone else's football, which in this case, all of the DPS combined, their job is to sapper those Spiderlings, and they didn't. They missed. A lot of them missed. Now, nobody's turning around to get these Spiderlings because normally they die. But don't try to take on too much. So the point of the video really is 2 things. Don't get complacent. If you normally kill, patchwork in 2 minutes or 1 minute or whatever, and your off tanks or soakers don't normally die, you need to still think about what's going to happen if they do. If you normally one phase Maxna, I don't know exactly why we didn't kill her. Everybody was death wishing and wrecking. And I'm not one of the raid leads. I don't go back and analyze everybody else's logs. I just look at my own. So I don't know why we didn't one face her, but the point is it doesn't matter. My job was to be second on threat in case the main tank dies, and in case he dies in web wrap or in web spray, because that is a very real possibility. Every single week, it's a very real possibility that a tank dies on Maxna. It's not a super difficult fight, but you do need to pay attention to the mechanics, which I didn't do. So hopefully this helps to be a lesson. I don't like things beating on healers. I don't like things running past me. That's just tank brain. But at the same time, you need to prioritize things quickly in real time, and the priority for me should not have been these Spiderlings. It should have been the boss. And things happen. This, especially for this boss, you can see the timers. There's no time to call out in comms like, "Hey, so and so, go pick those Spiderlings up." You kind of just have to react. In this case, though, these could have just been left on the raid and it would have been fine. It wasn't like there was 50 of them all over everybody. It was 2 of them that ran past me. I killed one and taunted one. I think some ran past me the other direction. But again, I don't have the resources available to tank 15 Spiderlings off the raid. So I should have just left them alone and stayed on the boss. So, part of being a tank is, you know, you need to be able to take criticism and you need to be able to criticize yourself. Um, you know, these warriors that lost world buffs, we do Spider Wing first. So this is the last boss of the first wing in Nax, and this is not a DMF week, luckily. But it sucks to lose your buffs that early in the raid. It sucks bad. It sucks as a tank. It sucks as a DPS. It sucks as a healer. It's not fun to do an entire Nax raid where, you know, almost everybody else has buffs and you don't. You really feel like you're playing a gimped class, especially as a DPS warrior. So, you know, you need to go back and look at your, and this is another great reason to stream and to record your session, so you can go back and see, you know, and I did go back and look at the logs, and I can see right here the damage, but I went back and looked at the logs to see how much damage these were doing to healers. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, you know, that was stupid. I'm saving that healer from, you know, 10 seconds worth of, if, you know, these things are swinging probably every second or every half second, whatever, but we're talking, you know, 1,000 damage maybe over those 10 seconds. That's not going to kill somebody. That's not going to kill anybody in Nax, even a mage. So it really wasn't worth, you know, abandoning my post to do that. So hopefully that's helpful to some folks out there. You know, if you're an off tank or a main tank or whatever, and we do swap. You know, if you swap roles, you know, on different bosses, and 1 week you're tanking and 1 week you're off tanking, make sure you're still paying attention to the mechanics. Especially in Nax, mechanics will turn around and kick you in the teeth when you're not paying attention. So, all right, I'll see you guys on the next one.